According to People magazine, Sean Diddy Combs has been placed on suicide watch as he awaits trial. And according to the outlet, they're saying that his mental state is unclear.
Yesterday, you reported that a former warden had a warning for Diddy that he should watch his back in prison.
He's in there, and what we've been told by a former warden is he's a target. What we've been told is like a badge of honor, that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates.
I said it to you days ago, and I'm gonna say it again. P. Diddy's in a world of trouble. Just look at what has happened.
So it's been a rough week for Diddy. Honestly, it feels like every day there's something new, almost like a scene straight out of a movie. Everything's been so overwhelming, not just for those following along, but for Diddy himself. Word is, he's so exhausted by everything that he's supposedly contemplating an escape from his situation. Except in this case, the escape he's reportedly thinking about is something much darker, taking his own life. There's been a recent report via People magazine that Diddy has either been placed on suicide watch or is about to be.
Yesterday, there was a report that wrote via People magazine that Diddy would actually be placed on suicide watch.
He's currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, the same facility where both R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein were once incarcerated. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how suicide watch works, it basically means that extra guards are assigned to keep a much closer eye on him than they would for other inmates. They'll be doing more frequent rounds, logging his behavior, and monitoring him for any signs that he might harm himself.
There's extra guards who will make very protective rounds, so they're checking in on him way more than they are any other inmates who are not on the suicide watch. They're keeping logs of how he is when they check on him.
Sometimes this happens when there's a hint, maybe a conversation or a noticeable shift in the person's mental state, or even just due to the sheer magnitude of the case, which seems to be what's happening with Diddy. Think about it. One minute he's living in a luxury mansion and the next he's stuck in a jail cell. That's a massive transition mentally and emotionally. In high-profile cases like this, officials often take these extra precautions because they know that the sudden change in lifestyle can be too much for someone to handle. According to the source, Diddy is in shock, and his mental state is unclear.
According to People magazine, Sean Diddy Combs has been placed on suicide watch as he awaits trial. And according to the outlet, they're saying that his mental state is unclear.
This is why rumors are swirling that he may have actually considered taking his own life. Honestly, people aren't brushing off the possibility, especially because of the conditions at MDC. That place has been called hell on earth due to how terrible the living conditions are. It's not somewhere anyone would want to be, let alone someone who's used to living in luxury.
Reports the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called hell on earth.
But that's not even the worst of it. Apparently, a former warden warned that Diddy has to be extra cautious in prison because he's a target.
Yesterday, you reported that a former warden had a warning for Diddy that he should watch his back in prison.
He's in there, and what we've been told by a former warden is he's a target.
Violent inmates, especially those serving life sentences, don't live by the same rules as everyone else. For them, gaining respect inside the prison is everything, and one way to get that respect is by taking out a high-profile inmate like Diddy. It's a twisted badge of honor.
What we've been told is like a badge of honor, that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates.
This is why Diddy's being kept in the solitary section of the jail. He's isolated for his own safety, and his legal team is scrambling to get him out. So far, though, Diddy's been denied bond twice, and it's not looking great for him.
He's going to be in this at Brooklyn, MDC Brooklyn. Who knows? It could be up to a year before this trial begins.
With the trial likely not starting for at least a year, Diddy could be stuck in that hellhole for a long time. And for someone who's used to luxury, being catered to, and living a life of comfort, it's hard to imagine him now having to clean his own toilet. Or worse, barely showering 2 or 3 times a week. But besides all the drama with Diddy's current situation in jail, he's also facing a mountain of shocking allegations that just keep piling up. For years, Diddy has projected an image of positivity, kindness, and even spirituality, constantly talking about following God and doing the right thing.
3 years ago, God made my mission and my purpose clear. And my mission and my purpose is to do whatever and play whatever role that I have to play into saving the black race.
There was even a point when he considered running for president, which now feels wild given what's coming out. He sold everyone this squeaky clean motivational persona, but behind the scenes, we all know now that things were a lot darker. His own kids are probably reeling from this too. They've grown up with the version of their dad that the public saw, but now they're learning the real story. Every day, it feels like there's new information coming to light. And on top of the recent accusations, there are all the lingering rumors that have followed Diddy for years. For example, there's the infamous Tupac case. People have been whispering for a long time about Diddy being involved in Tupac's murder.
Puffy can give him a mother star, and every rat in the world said he didn't want to kill Tupac.
And then there's the notorious Big case. That one's been around forever. Both of these have cast shadows over him for decades.
You know Pac just got it ain't no kind of business Big was doing. Big couldn't even walk, he couldn't run. They was pushing him around in a wheelchair, brother.
And let's not forget about Kim Porter, Diddy's ex, who passed away in 2018. Her death was ruled as being caused by pneumonia, but there have always been rumors that Diddy may have had a hand in it. Now, the rumors about Kim Porter are getting even wilder because there's talk of a book she was writing before she died. Supposedly, this book has now leaked, and it's being released under the title Kim's Lost Words. According to the gossip, it's 60 pages long and contains a collection of her diaries, spilling all the tea about Diddy's love life, which was apparently much more chaotic and scandalous than people knew. We're talking alleged affairs with male and female musicians, wild orgies at his house, and all sorts of debauchery.
Apparently, Kim, who we know shared 3 children with Diddy and passed away in 2018 at 47, she had these like diary entries, and they were supposed to be like really shocking.
The book supposedly covers everything from the 1990s up until Kim's last year. What's even crazier is the claim that Kim had found and copied tapes of Diddy hooking up with young boys he managed, including one involving an 18-year-old who's now a household name. The most chilling part is the final entry of the memoir, where Kim supposedly falls ill and texts her friends, "He got me," just before calling 911. The publisher of the book, Chris Todd, claims he got his hands on it through one of Kim's close friends who had copies of her writing. He even says he lightly edited the book, and it was printed under a pseudonym, Jamal T. Millwood, for security reasons. Todd explained that he didn't want to put his name on the book at first because of how dangerous the situation is, but after Diddy's recent arrest, he feels safer coming forward. There's no concrete proof of the book's authenticity yet, but Todd put hard copies up for sale on Amazon. He's standing by the story saying, "This was supposedly Kim Porter from the grave telling her story." Todd believes Kim wanted her truth out there, and now that Diddy's facing legal action, he's more confident that it's time to share her side. Some of the alleged scandals in the book have already been reported, like the infamous 1999 nightclub shooting. According to the rumors, Diddy pulled out a gun and started firing, but then had one of his rappers, Shine, take the fall for him. Both Diddy and Jennifer Lopez, who was his girlfriend at the time, were arrested, but only Shine was charged. That incident has haunted Diddy for years, and people still whisper about it. And then there are the wilder claims, like the star-studded orgies Diddy hosted. The memoir alleges that these parties were just elaborate orgies with all kinds of high-profile people, including musicians and other celebrities. Porter even says that she and Diddy would have threesomes and swap partners. One wild story involves her waking up after being with a well-known married woman, only to walk out and find Diddy leaving another room with a famous rapper and the woman's husband.
There were claims that Diddy not only participated in threesomes and orgies with both men and women.
According to this so-called leaked book, one of the claims is that Diddy and Porter had an open relationship, and she even mentioned regularly sleeping with the late rapper Tupac Shakur. But things took a much darker turn when she recalled an incident where Diddy supposedly hit her for the first time after she refused to use a strap-on on him. According to Porter's alleged writings, Diddy had a very intense reaction, begging her for more after one of their encounters. He apparently said, "I just can't stop thinking about that night. It was amazing. Can you screw me one more time, please?" Porter wrote that she was infuriated by his plea and told him to go be with the male music executive she believed he was secretly involved with. That's when, according to her, Diddy slapped her hard for the first time. She described being in shock, holding her cheek and running off while Diddy immediately started apologizing, begging for forgiveness. But even though it was the first time, she wrote that it was far from the last, admitting she stayed despite the abuse. Another disturbing account from the memoir described a violent altercation in Porter's apartment. In this instance, Diddy allegedly slammed her to the ground and pulled out a .22 caliber handgun, placing it on the table. He then knelt down in front of her and in a chilling moment told her, "You're mine. You don't have a choice in that now. I can't live without you." Porter supposedly called him a terrifying monster in the book. One of the most jaw-dropping parts of the memoir revolves around the alleged discovery Porter made in Diddy's bedroom vault. She claimed to have found videotapes of his encounters and made copies of them as a form of protection, especially since she had plans to leave him. But the content of the tapes was shocking, even to her. While she had already suspected Diddy of throwing wild parties, including it was the tapes involving young boys that truly disturbed her.
But there were also like a vault of recordings with young male artists.
The book's publisher, Chris Todd, who claims to have received the memoir from close friends of both Porter and Diddy, also suggested that these friends had copies of the alleged S-tapes. According to Todd, someone shady has been trying to sell these tapes to Hollywood documentary producers. He even said that when he was given the 60-page memoir, he was offered access to these S-tapes as well, though he didn't go into further detail about whether or not he took that offer. Of course, with such sensational claims, it's important to take everything with a grain of salt. There hasn't been any solid proof backing up these allegations yet, but with everything that's coming out about Diddy lately, many people are starting to wonder if there's some truth to these stories after all. There's also been buzz about more witnesses coming forward to testify against Diddy, adding even more weight to the already heavy allegations surrounding him. Just recently, 2 S workers have reportedly come forward with information about their interactions with Diddy. One of them claims to have had an encounter with him back in 2014 and says they are willing to cooperate with federal authorities, sharing what they know about that night.
We found out that these 2 individuals, and we have actually spoken to one of them, they are both workers, currently workers, says that they had an interaction with Diddy in 2014, and they are willing to tell the feds what they know about that interaction.
The other witness has apparently been subpoenaed to testify in front of a grand jury. This means they aren't just voluntarily coming forward. They're legally required to share their testimony under oath.
Another one said that they are willing, and not only willing, but have been subpoenaed to go before the grand juries.
With everything piling up, it's understandable why sources are suggesting Diddy's mental state might be deteriorating, possibly leading to the rumors about him wanting to end it all. Anyway, as more information surfaces, we'll have to wait and see how the case unfolds.